Victor was born at St. Joseph's Hospital and lived in Parkdale in the West End of Toronto. His parents were immigrants from Herzegovina. My mother-in-law tells a story of how she and Victor were walking back to their house one day and she heard a neighbor talking to her son in Croatian. She was thrilled to meet someone who spoke her language. Of course, Victor's parents were his first major influence. He always admired them for finding their way from the village in Herzegovina to Canada, learning English, finding work, and being able to buy a house. They believed in saving, and they were actually CIBC clients. One day, when he was around 5, his dad surprised him with a hockey stick. The generosity and thoughtfulness impressed him so much. His dad had never seen hockey before coming to Canada, but he became a huge fan of Hockey Night in Canada and wanted Victor to be able to play the sport. And Victor often talked about his soccer coach, Mr. Nolan, who was a great coach, but also a great example of selflessness. He would pick up many of the kids to get them to the game. He took them camping and opened their eyes to things Canada has to offer. Victor still thinks about many of these people and tries to emulate them. Victor had a series of jobs. He delivered the Globe and Mail. He did a day of inventory taking at Kmart. He worked in a warehouse, moving boxes. He hung pork bellies during the midnight shift at Canada Packers. He went door to door, selling cleaning material to industrial shops. He sold paper. One night, his father came back from depositing his wages at CIBC and told Victor he had seen a sign that they were hiring. He suggested Victor apply, and he kept after him until he did. Josie DiGiacinto hired him as a teller, Thursday and Friday evenings and Saturdays. He liked the banking business even then. Victor attended St. Michael's College at the University of Toronto, where he earned a degree in commerce. He was the first in his family to attain that level of education. I didn't meet Victor until he was at HBS, but I have heard a lot about his first job after St. Mike's. He worked at Kraft General Foods in marketing. Some of his projects were Kool-Aid and a couple of breakfast cereals. He loved the creativity of the job and is still in touch with his first boss there. He then took a job with a developer in Zagreb. This gentleman was also a Canadian. They were building the first underground mall in the city. After business school, Victor worked at McKinsey and then joined one of his clients, Atlas Mutual Funds, as CEO. That business was sold to Merrill Lynch and Victor was transferred to New York. Shortly after that, he began to work on a joint venture with HSBC and Merrill Lynch. When the joint venture wound up, Victor knew he wanted to return to Canada. He made a lot of calls and received 2 responses, the late Honorable Michael Wilson and Jerry McCaughey. Michael hired him to work at UBS, where he split his time between Toronto and Chicago. Then he was able to join CIBC in 2005, and he has been there ever since. Those 2 men were very important to Victor. In addition, as CEO, he has had 2 wonderful board chairs, John Manley and Kate Stevenson. All of them believed in him, and he will always be grateful to them for their support. Victor is a strong believer that everyone has the responsibility to give back to the community in whatever way they can. We've supported CAMH, St. Michael's College at U of T, and the United Way. But beyond that, Victor gives of his time. Victor sat on the board of the Soulpepper Theatre Company and Catalyst. He chaired the United Way campaign in 2024. He co-chaired the campaign for St. Joseph's Hospital, meeting with donors and convincing them to consider a donation to the hospital. We love going to the Run for the Cure and meeting all the CIBC employees who come out to raise money in support of breast cancer research. Victor does care about people who have a vision and a passion. He often comes home and tells me, I met the most amazing people. And he's been so lucky that almost every day he's gotten to meet someone that's doing something super interesting. If it's somebody with a small idea for a startup, if it's a student who has an idea of something to do on campus, Victor loves hearing the stories and he loves being as supportive and as helpful as he can. When we visited Pier 21, he was visibly moved by the hope that ignited so many immigrants, including his parents. He believes in the values of our great country and will continue to work to make it the best possible place.
Victor is always at work on Canada. He's at work through the Business Council. He's at work on trade issues. He's at work on economic issues. And of course, he's at work on charitable issues. So he's impacted the country and he's changed his industry.
Victor's parents, like my own, held family, hard work, and giving back to the community as core values. These values remain central to who he is today.
He demonstrates integrity in every decision, fosters open communication, and consistently leads by example, inspiring everyone around him to bring their best.
I think Victor really cares about people.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 2025 Ontario Business Achievement Awards, brought to you by our series presenting partner, Canadian National Railway. I'm Daniel Tisch, President and CEO of the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. Our theme this year is Building a Stronger Ontario, Competitiveness and Resilience. As our country grapples with economic uncertainty, we need bold leadership to secure our future. That's why we're spotlighting Ontario business leaders who've demonstrated courage and adaptability in driving a more competitive and resilient economy. In this episode, we celebrate our Lifetime Achievement Award, and you've already seen our 2025 recipient, Victor Dodig of CIBC. The Lifetime Achievement Award goes to someone who's demonstrated exceptional leadership in business and in their community over the course of their career. As Victor retires from his role as President and CEO of CIBC, we at the OCC were delighted to celebrate his many contributions to our business community, our province, and our country. I had the pleasure of sitting down with Victor recently. He reflected on his career, the lessons he's learned, his hopes for Canada, and more. Here's part of that conversation. Victor, thanks so much for joining us, and congratulations on being our Lifetime Award winner. We're really excited to have a conversation today. And looking at your career and your legacy, 11 years as CEO of the bank, but it started actually 40 years ago.
It did.
1985. And I'm curious about what you learned in those early days about leadership. Are there lessons that still apply today? I remember hearing you say once that banking is best understood through the wicket. Tell me what that means.
I still believe that. Let me tell you, first of all, it's a privilege and an honor to be given this award, to be with you here today, to have this chat about what it means and kind of how I got there and what I've achieved and how humbled I am by it all. So yeah, it started in 1985, my first white-collar job at the Mississauga Bloor & Fieldgate CIBC Banking Center, which no longer exists. It's been relocated to Rockwood Mall. It's now English as a second language office, which is kind of just shows you how things change.
Yeah.
And when I say banking is best learned through the wicket, many have heard this story about my experience with our client, Ivan. Ivan would come in every Thursday or Friday. You know, at that time there was no e-deposits, there were few ATMs, there was no mobile deposit. Everybody sort of came to the branch to process their payroll. And Ivan had his own tool and die business, and he would wait for me every Friday for 3 years. And he'd come and see me, and we exchanged niceties because he was of Croatian background, I'm of Croatian heritage.
Oh, yeah.
So he wanted to speak. And we all, Dodig, how are you? You know, this and that. And I speak to Ivan, and every transaction would end with, Dodig, $400 deposit, and I would say $50 cash. And he'd never fill out his deposit slip. So we did that for 3 years. Then I went on, graduated from university, did a few things, and 28 years later became the CEO of the bank. And I see him at an event, a business chamber event in Mississauga. He looks at me, he goes, Dodig. I said, Ivane. He goes, $400 deposit, and I said $50 cash.
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
That, for me, characterized what banking is all about.
Yeah.
You get to understand everybody eye to eye, talking about what's on their mind, what their week was like, the challenges, the opportunities. That's why it's best understood through the wicket.
Let's build on that. What a wonderful story. And how do you maintain that in the digital world, right? Because you've really led the bank through a period of dramatic change, right? And I see how you've really taken this idea of building customer relationships very much into the digital world. So what's the key to keeping that alive?
Well, you know, it's a good question because everyone thinks that technology is going to upend banking. I look at it as technology really enabling banking and enabling relationships. If you look at our bank today, 97% of transactions are done by clients through an ATM, through their laptop, or through their mobile phone.
Yeah.
3% are done over the wicket.
Right.
What's happening now is that allows us to build relationships on the things that are important.
Right.
Because the technology allows clients to do some of the straightforward things so that we can deal with the complex things. Right. And I believe that's going to hold true with AI as well. If you look at some of our use cases, we're trying to take the sand out of the gears of banking so our relationship managers could talk to clients about what matters. What home do you want to buy? What business do you want to build? How do you want to finance your children's education? How do you want to give to charity? That you can't do with technology alone. Right. That requires people.
Yeah, no, that's a great call to action for so many businesses across our network. I want to just ask you about your own history. You alluded to very proudly being of Croatian background, I know, and tell me a little bit about what you've learned from your father. You know, I've heard you speak about his optimism, about his perseverance. What lessons did he pass on to you that have shaped your career?
Well, look, he escaped what was then communist Yugoslavia, went into a UN refugee camp in Italy, and spent 2 years in 3 different camps, and then came to Halifax, to Pier 21, got his $10, and met his uncle, who arrived in Canada in 1929 at Union Station to get his life started. So, you know, when you escape, you stay in the forest during the day, you use the roads at night. It's like it's happening in the world today, right? Yeah. So I look at that as an example of perseverance, looking for a better life. And on, you know, day number 13 here, he got his job, and he just worked. And he worked, and he got laid off, and he worked, and he saved. And you know, when I became CEO of the bank, he gave me all his passbooks. He was a Commerce customer, and he said, "Look at the books." He was one of those pack rats. Yeah. He passed away 10 years ago, and I said, "Okay, good." I said, "It's gone from handwriting to computer printouts." He goes, "Look again." I looked. There were 2 withdrawals from 1961 to 1974. One was for the first car, and one was for the first house. There was money saved almost every week. Yeah. And they just saved. People make do. And what I realize is, you know, you got to make the sacrifices to sort of make things happen in the long term. You got to have a moral compass. He had a moral compass and a sense of purpose of what he wanted to do. He wanted to build for the next generation. And I would say my dad was a really nice guy. Really nice guy. Yeah. Smiled, always thoughtful, always tried to give me guidance on what he knew. And if he didn't know something, like higher education, he'd tap others to tell me.
Yeah, yeah. You know, for me, coming from that background, and also on the other side, my mother coming from Latin America and struggling a bit here as well when she was young, I guess it shaped for me this interest in not just building prosperity, but building prosperity that's inclusive and sustainable.
Sure.
I know that one thing that's distinguished you, and in fact one factor in our decision to give you the award this year, is your leadership around diversity and inclusion. So talk to us a little bit about what made you decide to be out in the forefront compared to many of your business peers on that issue.
So for me, it's not a sociological experiment. For me, it's not a checklist. For me, it's good for business. Yeah. It's good for business because you want to have your bank, in my instance, reflect the population I'm serving. Yeah. And that makeup will look different depending if you're in the Caribbean, if you're in Canada, if you're in Chicago, if you're in Hong Kong, or if you're in London, and you want the best and the brightest. And it's good for business. I've found that as long as you have a common purpose, everyone can bring their backgrounds, bring their skill set, bring their beliefs, but we have a common purpose of serving our clients and making their ambitions real. That's what makes it work. So I do believe in it. I haven't changed my beliefs at all. I believe that our bank should reflect the population we're serving because I think you win more business that way. You get a happier team, you get a happier set of clients, ultimately a happier shareholder, and then you can give money back to the community, which is exactly how our cycle works here at CIBC.
We do see some businesses across North America, around the world, backing off diversity and inclusion a little bit, or at least being less public about their support for it. How does that make you feel as someone who is on the front lines of leadership on this topic?
Like political cycles ebb and flow. I kind of focus on what I really believe in. Yeah. This is what I really believe in. Yeah. And our team believes in it too.
So our theme for this year's awards is building a stronger Ontario, competitiveness and resilience, which seem to be 2 watchwords for the big challenges we have as a nation, but also the big opportunities that we have. And I want to talk a little bit about that. You know, your family, of course, a great story of resilience. Tell me a little bit about what we need to do as businesses to build resilience in our economy today.
So I'm a product of Ontario. It was a place to stand, a place to grow, Ontario area.
I remember
right?
that.
I remember it very well. I remember Bill Davis. I remember all the premiers that kind of came after him. This is a great province. You know, like every other economic region or territory, it has its own challenges, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of look at three things. One is the more that government can provide tailwinds to business to invest, smart regulation,
Yeah.
not over-regulation. Provide them with a little bit of incentive to move forward, the better. I think we're all trying to do that.
Yeah.
It's got to be more substantive. Can we move things more quickly? I think the second thing we need to do is attract more capital to our country, not only from our pension plans, and they'll come when the projects are there and they're very easily visible in terms of investment, but also from foreign investors and also from affluent Canadians to invest in our economy. We need more capital. We have bank capital that can be released to invest. We need more private capital to move the projects forward. The third thing I'd say is talent, and not talent in its generic sense. Yes, we need the hard skills. We need to give young people hope that there's a real way of creating opportunity in our province today.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, if you talk to most young people, when they earn what they earn out of school living in the city of Toronto and they look at house prices, they say, this is not achievable.
Yeah.
I can't achieve what my parents achieved. So I think the government needs to really think hard about how tax policy can benefit a demographic that doesn't seem to get any benefit at all.
I know that you've got great respect for the history of the institution that you've led for so long and been a part of for so long. And I know that you haven't just held the CEO's job, you've also led in retail, you've led in wealth management. How do you look at your tenure with the bank through that long-term lens, an institution that's literally older than Canada itself?
Yeah, we were incorporated on May the 15th, 1867, and the Bank of Commerce was started to provide credit to small businesses which couldn't get access to credit. That's why it was called the Bank of Commerce.
Right.
Our roots actually go back to the Halifax Banking Company of 1825. That's all part of what is the Commerce today. My leadership tenure of 11 years, captain of the team, is a chapter in an overall history that's almost 160 years. Everyone that's led our bank with our team has had an impact to shape it for the next generation. And that's what you do. You take the role that you're given to give it to the next leader. And that'll be Harry Cullum, starting November the 1st of 2025. If I look at what has occurred over the past 11 years, we as a team set out a strategy to build a relationship-oriented bank, to build one for the modern world. What does that mean? Invest in your client relationships, invest in your people, and invest in foundational technology to change the bank. And today we have our highest client experience scores that we've ever seen, highest employee satisfaction scores, really top-tier shareholder returns when we compare ourselves to our peer group, and we give back to the community. And we feel really, really good about that. I feel really good about Harry taking the role on with the team. You know, we've got a blueprint of a strategy that's working. I know they're going to take that forward. They're going to embrace the new technology changes that are within kind of our fold today and that will continue to emerge to shape our bank and to allow us to build those stronger relationships with our clients. So I'm confident about the future. I'm confident about what we've achieved over the last 11 years. And I'm grateful to those who've walked before me. I mean, we had Jerry McCaughey retired, and he did a great job during the great financial crisis. And we also had two leaders before Jerry, the late John Hunkin and the late Al Flood, who passed away this year. I knew both of them. Yeah. I saw them both regularly. Both of them started their careers with CIBC. In the instance of Al, he started at the age of 15.
That's amazing.
Worked his entire life here.
Wow.
John, from graduating from university, worked his entire life here. His father was an executive here. Like, we are dyed-in-the-wool CIBC team members. And they've had their mark, whether it was expanding into capital markets or bringing client relationships back to banking, which is what Al was really known for. They all had their mark, and that's the beauty of this. Every institution has great alumni. I'm proud to be a great alumni going forward.
Yeah, that's great. So many of Canada's great businesses like CIBC have a history to be proud of. We as a country also have chapters of our history that we're not so proud of, that we're trying to reconcile with today. And when we're taping this interview today, it's actually the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation.
It is.
And as someone who has, I think, reflected very thoughtfully on how the bank needs to change to reflect today's diversity and to include more of it in your leadership team, on your board, in your staff, how do we make space for these difficult conversations and achieve reconciliation with Indigenous people, nations, and communities as businesses?
So Dan, it's been a big focus for us. One has been just the focus on the past and understanding the past, and understanding the past in such a way that it never gets repeated in the future. Understanding why we all have to work together to build a future so that we can actually truly and genuinely reconcile. The second tangible thing that we've done, this is what's really, really important. Our leaders have gone through blanket exercises here at our bank just to understand how things evolved and why they evolved and why we can change the trajectory of the future. But we've also put in tangible banking services and supports. Our leader that leads Indigenous banking, Jamie Lickers, is the most senior Indigenous or First Nations person in a Canadian bank. She's helped us reshape our strategic agenda so it actually has meaningful impact on the 600 plus First Nations in our country. So that actually works with the private sector and the public sector to generate a better economic outcome.
Right.
That's what's really, really important going forward. How can we now as a business be a source for good? And that's who CIBC is.
Right. Yeah, I was just reflecting as you were talking about the bank's history, how it's so appropriate that the Chamber of Commerce presents an award to the CEO of the Bank of Commerce.
It is appropriate indeed. And just again, Dan, what's really important is the work you do, the work the businesses in Ontario do to make life better for all the people that they serve and all the people that they work for them. I always say to our team, we have 50,000 team members. They have families. They have relatives, they have kids, they have mortgages. Like, we have an accountability to make their lives better.
Yeah, well, that's what we all want. And I think that one thing that animates our members in our chamber, from the biggest companies in Canada like yours to small mom and pop shops in remote and rural and Indigenous communities, is we all have to believe that we can achieve more together than any one of us could achieve alone.
Absolutely.
And that's why it's so valuable we work together.
Together as one.
Together
All
as
right.
one.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I admire Victor because of his authentic and thoughtful leadership. He demonstrates integrity in every decision, fosters open communication, and consistently leads by example, inspiring everyone around him to bring their best.
I admire Victor most of all for his focus on relationships. He makes each and every one of us feel valued as he helps us make ambitions a reality. For clients, you want a bank that's in your corner in good times and tough times, whether it's for your family or your business. And that's what his leadership is all about. Nobody personifies this more than Victor.
Victor is one of the finest human beings I've had the pleasure of getting to know. He is an unbelievably intelligent, transformative business leader who has achieved great success. Along with those traits, Victor remains down to earth and committed to giving back to others and the community.
And I admire Victor Dodig for his leadership at a truly transformative time in banking and technology, for his continued focus on relationships, and his leadership in equity, diversity, and inclusion. Victor, thank you for a great conversation. I was really struck by how we navigated both personal history as well as professional history and experience, the history of the bank, the present of the bank, the future of the bank, and the future of Canada. And for a great conversation, but more importantly, for 40 years of an outstanding career that started at CIBC and continues at CIBC through leadership in wealth management, leadership in retail, and 11 years now as CEO of the bank. For all of this history, this success, this leadership legacy, it's my great honor to present you with the Ontario Chamber's 2025 Lifetime Achievement Award. Congratulations.
Dan, thank you. As I said to you at the outset of our conversation, it's an honor and privilege to receive this from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. You do great work for our economy and for our province. I want to, I feel like I'm getting an Academy Award, so I have to thank my family, those who raised me, my late dad and my mom, my wife and my 4 kids who kind of prod me along each and every day and keep me honest and grounded, and to my family here at CIBC who have helped make our bank what it is today. It's a real honor and privilege to receive this, not only as an individual, but as the captain of our team. So thank you very much, and let's continue to work together to make our province and our country strong, because we can't take any of this for granted. It's a great nation and a great province because of our history and because of what we've achieved, but nothing can be taken for granted. The hardest work is probably ahead of us.
It is. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
You know, Victor, not only are you admired, but you're celebrated by your friends and colleagues. Let's hear from some more of them.
Victor, congratulations on all that you have accomplished, and thank you for your visionary leadership and, more importantly, the friendship over the years. Your commitment to building a purpose-led, caring and connected culture has left a lasting mark on CIBC and to me personally. You have inspired us all to lead with empathy, integrity, and a deep sense of purpose. Thank you. Thank you for everything you have done for our bank and our team.
So, Victor, my friend, a qualified congratulations. Congratulations on all the work you've done so far. You've certainly done a fabulous job at the bank as a shareholder. I can attest to that and express my happiness about that. You've transformed the bank. It's been terrific to watch and experience as a client and somebody with a great relationship with your bank. But Canada's not there yet, Victor. There's work to do. So I don't expect you're done. I hope you're not done. And I'm happy to support you in anything you choose to do going forward.
Victor, I'd like to extend my heartfelt congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. Your unwavering commitment and dedication to excellence have left an indelible mark on CIBC and on Ontario and the country. For me to have had a front row seat to your visionary and inspiring leadership has truly been an honor. I've loved having you as the captain of our team, as a partner, and as a friend.
Victor, congratulations on your Ontario Chamber of Commerce Lifetime Achievement Award. It's such a well-deserved recognition of not only your professional accomplishments, but also of the person you are. Your leadership at CIBC has been transformative, as has your commitment to creating opportunities, building stronger communities, and leading with integrity. You inspire us all, and we are thankful for your leadership and friendship. Congratulations, Victor.
Victor, congratulations again from all of us here at the Ontario Chamber. You might have heard the phrase that a leader is someone who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Well, Victor, that's you. You built a tremendous business and made such a huge impact as our province strives to become stronger, more competitive, and more resilient. As we wrap up this episode, I want to thank, as always, our OBAA series presenting partner, Canadian National Railway. And I want to thank you, our viewers. Don't forget to join the conversation. You'll find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and of course the Ontario Chamber website. Until next time, stay connected and stay inspired.